So springtime is slowly getting here, especially in the Midwest. Things are starting to warm up just a little bit, and we need to figure out how to go out and catch those early spring cold water bass, but not spend a lot of money doing it. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk to you today about 2 baits that we can do that with. Hey folks, welcome to Casting with Kirk. I'm Kirk. Glad you could join me today. So in the previous videos, if you followed along, we talked about 2 rods to go out and catch bass with. One was a 7-foot medium and a 7-foot medium heavy. For these techniques I'm going to talk about today, first thing I'm going to recommend is spooling up the medium with anywhere from 8 to 10 pound monofilament, and take your medium heavy and spool that up with anywhere from 30 to 40 pound braid. That's going to get you set to fish these lures. Now in the spring, bass in that cold water move very slow. They're just coming out of kind of that winter sleep, hibernation, I guess you would call it, and they're not exerting a ton of energy to go eat, but they're starting to get up into that water level where they're going to be looking for food and start making their way to their spawning grounds. Now the first one, this one you're going to fish on your 7-foot medium rod, and that is a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. And I'm going to recommend going with white, with the silver blades or with a white painted blade. Now the spinnerbait you're going to fish slow. You're going to fish it depending upon the depth of your lake, out deeper water. You're going to fish it, say, over the edges and tops of weed lines. You're going to look, especially when the sun starts coming up, for rock on that northern shore, because that warms up first. Areas where the bass are going to get up and be looking for food. Now when you're slow rolling it, you're just going to want these blades to barely be spinning. You're going to want to be like bouncing off the bottom. You're going to want to be just ticking this right off the top of the weeds. Nice and slow, steady retrieve. Every once in a while, stop it, let it fall a little bit, give it a little twitch. Because in that cold water again, all the bait fish are moving just as slow as the bass are. So your spinnerbait is going to be your action moving bait. Now the second bait, this one you're going to fish on your 7-foot medium heavy with that braided line. And this one's going to be that one that's not going to have a ton of action, but it does catch bass. And that is a 3/8 ounce football jig. Now this football jig, you're going to throw it around rock. You're going to kind of just slowly drag it up and over and through rocks. If by chance it's getting warm and the bass have moved up into the shallow weeds or even up around wood, you're going to just real slowly drag this right along weed edges. Anywhere there's like small rocks, small pebbles and that kind of stuff, just drag it through. Every once in maybe a great while, just give it a little pop. Okay, this is going to represent, when you put that Berkley Crazy Legs Chigger Craw on the end of it, in one of my previous videos I talked about this, it's going to represent a crawfish that's come out. When those crawfish come out, they're really, really slow, but bass love to eat them. So you're just going to drag this along that bottom. You're going to leave most of your tentacles connected on your trailer because there's not going to be a lot of action. So again, your action is going to come out of your spinnerbait, slow rolling that. And your very little action is going to come from your jig that you're dragging along the bottom. Now as a bonus, I'm going to show you a third one. And this one you'd want to fish also on your medium heavy that's got that braided line. This is for if you're fishing really shallow water, and because that's what your lake might have. We have some in the area that I live in, northern Illinois, where the maximum depth in this lake is like 6 feet, but it has bass. It's a chatterbait. These chatterbaits, you can fish them kind of like the spinnerbait. Nice and slow, ticking them off the top, bouncing them off the bottom. But it's going to be a slightly more compact offering that you're going to give to those bass. And it works really, really good, like I said, in really shallow water, through weeds and over weeds, when your water depth is the deepest is 6 to 8 feet and they're hovering around that 4 to 6, you're just going to slow roll this thing. That blade's going to just be moving back and forth, and get yourself just a nice trailer. It can be a curly tail, it can be a swim bait style, and just slow roll that real slow through the weeds. All right, so those are my recommendations for really early cold water spring fishing. Go out, get yourself some of those. Try and fish it in some different areas, because sometimes the bass are going to move up and down depending upon how much sun comes out and how much that water is warming up. Well, if you like this type of information, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. And I thank you for joining me today, and may the Lord bless your day.